The groundbreaking 2009 film directed by James Cameron, Avatar, marks a significant milestone in cinematic history, with Avatar Part 3 set to release in theaters soon. Now is an opportune moment to revisit the epic journey that began on the lush, vibrant world of Pandora. In this discussion, we will explore the key moments, themes, and characters of Avatar Part 1. Additionally, a recap of Avatar Part 2 will follow shortly to prepare viewers for the next chapter. Let us immerse ourselves in the world of the Na'vi and examine this cinematic masterpiece together. Welcome back to Screen Sizzle. We extend our heartfelt thanks to you, our dedicated viewers, for joining us on our journey toward 1 million subscribers. Let me know which movie you want me to explain the meaning of by commenting below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on our latest videos. All right. Let's not keep you waiting any longer. Let's get started. In the year 2154, humanity had depleted Earth's resources entirely. The planet lacked greenery and minerals. By this time, scientific and technological advancements had become highly advanced. Humans were capable of traveling to other planets to mine minerals and transport them back to Earth. We are introduced to Jake, a Marine whose legs were severely injured in a battle. At the beginning of the film, we can observe that Jake Sully is a person who stands up for justice, as he assists a woman being harassed at a bar. Despite doing the right thing, he is still expelled from the bar, only to encounter two mysterious men approaching him. Something had happened to Jake's younger brother. They led Jake to a crematorium. They opened a paper coffin, revealing his brother's body. Tom Sully had been killed in a robbery over a few coins in his wallet. Now, they discussed with Jake the possibility of taking Tom's place. Tom had a critically important investment contract, which will be explained shortly. If Jake's DNA was compatible, he would experience a new life. Particularly appealing was the generous compensation that could restore the use of his legs. Jake agreed to replace Tom and take over the contract. He was placed aboard a spaceship and entered hibernation for nearly 6 years. He traveled to the planet Pandora. The ecosystem there closely resembles Earth's. However, the air is toxic to humans. Therefore, they must wear oxygen masks. The aircraft landed at a mining site. Here, we observe numerous mercenaries receiving payment and working for the RDA Corporation. At this location, the commander of the forces is introduced. Colonel Quaritch warns the new recruits about all the dangers of this planet. He particularly emphasizes the Na'vi people, a species standing 3 meters tall with skeletons reinforced by carbon fibers. A young scientist named Norm Spellman leads Jake to the laboratory. Jake's mission is to control an avatar. These avatars are created by combining Tom's DNA with that of the Na'vi. Grace, the head of a research team on the planet Pandora, is furious upon meeting Jake. She requires a scientist like Jake's brother, not a soldier who only knows how to wield a gun. Dr. Grace confronts Executive Director Parker Selfridge. Parker takes a gray, solid substance from the table and hands it to Grace. He explains that it is unobtainium, a superconductor sold for $20 million per kilogram. This mineral is the primary reason humans have traveled so far to this planet to mine it. Its value also funds Grace's research. Grace is deeply frustrated, but powerless to challenge Parker. Let us now delve into the RDA Corporation and the reasons it deployed soldiers and scientists to Pandora. The Resources Development Administration (RDA) is a colossal multinational corporation from Earth, central to the Avatar narrative. RDA is a commercial organization with near absolute authority, operating not only as a resource extraction company, but also possessing superior economic, scientific, and military strength in the future setting of 2154. The corporation is described as a dominant force both economically and politically on Earth, where natural resources have been depleted. In the film, RDA is responsible for conducting mining operations on the distant planet Pandora, a world rich in biodiversity and environmental diversity. RDA's primary objective is to mine unobtainium, a rare mineral with immense economic value due to its superconductivity at room temperature. Unobtainium is seen as the key to resolving Earth's energy crisis, and the largest deposit lies directly beneath the home tree, the dwelling place of the Omaticaya Na'vi tribe, leading to the central conflict of the film. RDA operates on Pandora through a combination of scientific and military efforts. They employ scientists to study the Na'vi ecosystem and culture through the Avatar program, which enables humans to control artificial Na'vi bodies to interact with the indigenous population. Simultaneously, RDA maintains a formidable military force equipped with modern combat vehicles, including aircraft, combat robots, and heavy weaponry, commanded by Colonel Miles Quaritch. This force is prepared to use violence to protect the corporation's mining interests. However, RDA is portrayed as a greedy and unethical organization willing to destroy the Na'vi's habitat and provoke cultural conflict to achieve its economic objectives. Let us return to the main developments of our narrative. The following day, Dr. Grace connected Jake to Tom's avatar body for the first time. The connection process began, likely due to the compatible genetic code. The process of linking with Jake was remarkably straightforward. Jake opened his eyes. He gazed at his new body. Jake's toes began to move. It had been a long time since Jake experienced this sensation, and it was truly miraculous. Jake started to stand and took his first unsteady steps. He pushed open the door and joyfully began running on his own 2 feet. It felt like a rebirth. Dr. Grace also linked with her own avatar. She picked a piece of fruit, tossed it to Jake, and praised him for his excellent progress. Jake took a bite, and the sensation was extraordinary. Afterward, Dr. Grace turned off the lights to rest. The avatar's rest period occurs when they return to their human forms. Colonel Miles summoned Jake for a meeting. He promised to restore Jake's legs if he agreed to provide information about his research on Pandora and the Na'vi. The next day, Dr. Grace led Jake and Norm to begin researching the planet Pandora. This time, they ventured further. Their plan was to collect samples for research. Jake had the opportunity to witness the truly wondrous nature of the planet. The helicopter flew over a stream and landed in a nearby forest. As a responsible soldier, Jake always carried his weapon, ready to face danger, in the primeval forest. Grace inserted a needle into the tree roots to measure energy activity. The speed of information transmission from one tree to another was remarkably fast. Jake, driven by curiosity, moved forward. He encountered beautiful spiral-shaped leaves. Upon touching them, they retracted completely. Jake found this playful phenomenon amusing and caused all the leaves to retract. This revealed a creature resembling a hammerhead dinosaur, as we shall temporarily call it. Upon seeing Jake, Grace rushed over to warn him to remain still. She cautioned him not to provoke it, as bullets could not penetrate its thick hide. Observing the aggressive creature, Jake shouted back, seeing it stand still before fleeing to its mother. He believed he had driven it away. When he turned around, an extremely dangerous predatory animal appeared. This time, Grace urged Jake to run as fast as he could, relying on his instincts. He sprinted with all his might. He crawled into a large tree trunk. However, the creature used every means to try to kill Jake. He fired his weapon, but it was ineffective. The ferocious animal bit into his backpack and dragged him into the air. Jake unhooked the backpack and continued running. He accidentally fell into a waterfall. The beast was furious at losing its prey. Having escaped danger, Jake became separated from his teammates. He sharpened a branch for self-defense. Neytiri, a Na'vi woman, discovered the stranger in this place. She intended to shoot him with a poison-tipped arrow. However, a seed from the sacred tree of souls landed on her bow, as if signaling her not to shoot Jake. As a marine infantryman, Jake crafted a torch. The nocturnal beasts here were bizarre, numerous, and employed pack tactics, one after another. They took turns attacking Jake, making it seem as though he had become their prey. At that moment, Neytiri appeared with exceptional close combat skills. It was not overly difficult for her to drive the wild beasts away. She threw the torch into the water and then alleviated the suffering of a wounded creature. Jake realized that the creatures in the forest all possessed a bioluminescent glow. He thanked the woman for intervening to help. However, Neytiri pushed Jake to the ground and blamed him. If it were not for him, the creatures would not have died in such a manner. Jake found this woman quite intriguing. He asked her to allow him to follow her, but Neytiri firmly refused. Seeds from the sacred tree of souls appeared. Jake waved his hand to shoo them away. However, Neytiri held Jake's hand. The seeds of the soul tree clung to Jake's body, as if conveying a divine signal. Recognizing this as a sign from Ewa, Neytiri agreed to take Jake to her home. the Omaticaya tribe. The young man was quite playful with the extraordinary scenery of Pandora. The grass he walked on glowed. Suddenly, a rope ensnared his leg, causing Jake to fall. A hunter from the tribe appeared. Surrounding Jake, leading them was Sute, Neytiri's fiancé. She declared that Jake bore the mark of Awa, and everyone must take him to the spirit tree. There, Jake encountered countless Na'vi people. The tribe's leader, Neytiri's father, Etukon, disapproved of Jake's presence and wished to kill him. Neytiri's mother, Moat, was the shaman and spiritual leader of the tribe. After consideration, Moat accepted and assigned Neytiri the task of teaching this sky person the ways of the Na'vi. Jake was led by Neytiri to their communal dinner. Clumsily, he stepped on a girl's tail. Jake was seated to participate in the tribe's communal gathering. Afterward, she led him to his sleeping place. A hammock hung on the home tree. Jake drifted into sleep. His consciousness returned to his human form. It turned out that Dr. Grace had awakened him earlier, but he remained linked to the avatar body, rendering him unconscious, as if dead. Dr. Grace was overjoyed at Jake's return. During lunch with the group, Jake recounted what had happened. Grace could not understand why the Omaticaya had chosen Jake. Colonel Quaritch was also extremely surprised by the results the new recruit delivered, after Jake analyzed what he knew about the home tree and the Na'vi for him. A moment of misfortune for the Omaticaya tribe is revealed when it becomes clear that directly beneath their home tree lies an immense deposit of unobtainium. The corporation targets this deposit for mining, but this would necessitate the destruction of the home tree. The following day, before connecting to the avatar, Dr. Grace provided information to Jake, reviewing photographs and names of important members of the Omaticaya tribe. She mentioned that Neytiri was once her student. The first lessons Neytiri taught Jake involved how to ride a dire horse. Neytiri instructed Jake that to ride the horse, he must connect his neural cue to the creature. Neytiri instructed Jake to feel the creature and control it with his thoughts alone. In theory, this was the approach. But when Jake began practicing, he fell flat on his face, which was expected for a first attempt. Sute approached and expressed disdain for Jake, suggesting that a stone was more capable than him. Neytiri merely smiled, ignoring Sute's sarcasm and continuing to teach Jake. The following day, upon returning to the base, Jake reported additional information about the home tree and the Na'vi, detailing the internal structure of the home tree and the movements of the Omaticaya. While Jake was reporting, Max inadvertently overheard the conversation. Max informed Dr. Grace of this. Grace decided to separate Jake from Colonel Quaritch to prevent them from manipulating him further. They relocated the research laboratory to an external site. An aircraft transported them to a laboratory situated on the floating mountains of Pandora. Neytiri led Jake to the top of the home tree and summoned her mount for Jake to admire. She explained that it was an ikran, and each ikran would only fly with a single hunter throughout its lifetime. To become a hunter, Jake had to choose an ikran for himself. Likewise, the ikran had to choose Jake. Then, Neytiri soared directly into the sky. Jake watched with intense excitement. In the days that followed, Neytiri taught Jake how to hold a bow and the proper stance. She instructed him on jumping from great heights, clinging to large leaves to land safely. She also taught him to swim like a Na'vi. Jake's bond with the Na'vi reached a new level, prompting him to request Moat's permission for Dr. Grace to enter the village. Jake's human body had spent excessive time in the link chamber, resulting in significant weight loss. His deep connection with the Na'vi led Grace to insist that he eat properly. During one training session, Neytiri observed Jake successfully hunt an animal and pray for it like a true Na'vi. At this point, Neytiri decided it was time for the final step to become a Na'vi hunter. Neytiri led Jake to capture an ikran, to tame an ikran. The hunting group guided Jake to the habitat of this species. Only a courageous individual could traverse the paths leading to the ikran's dwelling. Finally, they arrived. Before them were countless ikrans. Sute informed the group that Jake would be the first to undertake the task. Neytiri instructed Jake to choose an ikran for himself, noting that it would also choose him. Jake asked how he would know if it had chosen him. Neytiri replied that it would try to kill him. Jake cautiously approached the ikrans. Most of them flew away to avoid contact with him. One Ikran, seemingly having chosen Jake as its master, appeared ready to attack him. Jake subdued the creature and successfully connected his consciousness with the Ikran before it could kill him. Jake embarked on his first flight with his Ikran after months of arduous training to become a Navi. His efforts culminated in success, as he controlled the Ikran according to his will. Neytiri joyfully flew alongside Jake. Although Jake may not have the blood of a hunter, he might have been born for this purpose. Jake was officially recognized as a hunter. He and Neytiri soared over places with breathtakingly beautiful scenery. Perhaps only by riding an Ikran could he witness such majestic vistas. One day, while Jake was hunting, a massive flying dragon suddenly swooped down from above to attack them. Jake used a curtain of vines to block it. Both narrowly escaped death due to Jake's quick thinking and intelligence. They laughed joyfully, having evaded death. Later, Neytiri led Jake to the remains of a large dragon similar to the one that had pursued them earlier. It turned out to be a Toruk, a colossal and extremely rare flying creature, revered by the Na'vi as a sacred symbol. Anyone who tames and rides it is called a Toruk Makto and becomes a legend, deeply revered in a sacred manner. According to legend, only 5 individuals have ever ridden it. Neytiri's grandfather was the last known person to have tamed a Toruk. He united the tribes and became a great figure. Because Jake had become so deeply connected to the Na'vi, he no longer knew which world was his true reality. He went to meet Colonel Quaritch. Quaritch thanked him for completing the mission and, as promised, assured Jake that he would regain the use of his legs upon returning to Earth. However, Jake declined the opportunity. He wished to remain and participate in the initiation ceremony into the Omaticaya tribe. Once he gained their trust, he could persuade the Na'vi to relocate elsewhere. Quaritch appeared displeased, but granted him more time and left. The following day, Jake's initiation into the Omaticaya tribe took place. Chief Aitakan acknowledged him as a member of the tribe. All the people here demonstrated that Jake was now a part of their tribe. Neytiri led Jake to the Tree of Souls. This is the place where prayers are heard. Neytiri connected with the tree and then prayed. Jake also connected to the tree. It was an extraordinary spiritual scene. He could hear the voices of the Na'vi ancestors within. Neytiri told him that he was now a part of the tribe and could choose a woman for himself. Jake stated that he had made his choice long ago, and that woman was Neytiri. Neytiri accepted Jake as she guided him through the process. They kissed, and beneath the Tree of Souls, they were officially united under the watchful gaze of Ewa. The following morning, the sound of bulldozers began attacking the nearby spirit trees. The military ruthlessly devastated them. Neytiri desperately tried to rouse Jake. However, as he prepared to link with his Na'vi avatar body, Dr. Grace stopped him, insisting that he finish his meal. Fortunately, his haste allowed him to connect early. He witnessed the horrific scene. Jake signaled for the bulldozer to stop, but Parker, heedless of life or death, pressed forward. Jake leapt up and smashed the bulldozer's cameras. This was unfortunate, as Quaritch had seen Jake through the cameras. At the home tree, the chieftain entrusted Sute with command to launch a counterattack against the humans. When Jake appeared, Sute realized that he had bonded with his betrothed. Sute charged at Jake. Jake stated that their enemies were outside and were very powerful. Despite Jake's words, Sute remained intent on eliminating him. However, as Jake was about to reveal the truth about himself, Quaritch arrived with his soldiers at the laboratory. Jake had not yet confessed to the entire tribe before his connection was severed. Sute seized the moment to try to kill him, but Neytiri intervened to stop Sute. Colonel Quaritch captured Jake and Dr. Grace and brought them back to the base. He presented conclusive evidence that Jake had stated the Na'vi would never abandon the home tree to live elsewhere. His presence to persuade them was a waste of time. Subsequent developments followed. Quaritch sought Parker's permission to attack the home tree and expel the Na'vi. The female pilot, Trudy, arrived to inform Dr. Grace and Jake that Colonel Quaritch was leading his troops to declare war. Jake and Dr. Grace attempted to stop Parker. He granted Jake one final opportunity, giving him 1 hour to convince the Na'vi to abandon the home tree. Jake returned to the tribe and urged the Na'vi to leave the home tree immediately, as the Sky People were coming to destroy them. He confessed that he had been planted among them to gather information. Neytiri felt deeply disappointed with Jake for deceiving her and the entire tribe. She pushed Jake away and declared that he would never be a part of them. The chieftain ordered Jake and Dr. Grace to be bound. Colonel Quaritch's warship, accompanied by smaller aircraft, advanced toward the home tree. Jake and Grace urgently pleaded with everyone to flee deep into the forest. When Colonel Quaritch saw Jake and Grace bound and realized the negotiations had failed, he ordered tear gas fired directly at the Na'vi's home tree, choking on the tear gas. They were forced to flee. The remaining group used bows and arrows to shoot at the aircraft. The wooden arrows caused no damage to the aircraft. Enraged, the colonel ordered missiles fired at the home tree. At this point, a sea of smoke engulfed the entire area. The chieftain ordered everyone to head straight into the forest. Moat approached Jake, untied him, and pleaded with him to save the entire tribe. Quaritch continued to unleash all available firepower, with only Trudy's aircraft refusing to obey his orders. The sacred tree seemed unable to withstand the destructive force of the humans and began to collapse to the ground. After the catastrophe, countless Na'vi were injured or killed. They wailed in anguish before the home tree. The colonel, delighted by this sight, withdrew his troops back to the base. Neytiri found her father wounded and dying. He handed her his bow and instructed her to protect everyone. After the chieftain passed away, Neytiri wept bitterly and drove Jake away, refusing to let him near her. At Parker's headquarters, he ordered Dr. Grace and Jake's group to be locked in solitary confinement. Fortunately, the female pilot Trudy felt outraged by what Quaritch had done. She rescued Jake and Dr. Grace. Then they flew the plane to escape. When Quaritch discovered this, he unleashed a hail of bullets at them. Luckily, they escaped safely. However, Grace was unfortunately hit by a bullet. They took a laboratory room and flew deep into the isolated forest. Jake returned to his avatar body and rode his Ikran. He had a crazy idea, but it was his last chance to regain the trust of the Na'vi. Meanwhile, the Omaticaya tribe was gathered around the last tree of souls. Moat and the others were praying for those who had sacrificed themselves. A massive creature appeared from above. As it landed, it was revealed to be the legendary Toruk, and the one riding it was Toruk Makto. Jake approached. The Na'vi began to kneel, as if welcoming a representative of a god, greeting a legendary figure only spoken of in tales, the one who tamed Toruk. Jake, riding on Toruk's back like a hero who would save the entire Na'vi tribe, pleaded for Tsute's help to fight together and protect the Omaticaya people. Jake begged Moat to take Dr. Grace, as the only way to save her was to transfer her human consciousness into her avatar body. But due to her severe injuries, Grace died shortly after, fueling Jake's rage. The RDA Corporation had waged war on Pandora, so he rallied everyone and the tribes to stand up and fight together for freedom. Riding Toruk, Jake led the Na'vi army, calling on the tribes to unite, as Toruk Makto himself summoned them. The tribes were ready to fight with their lives. On the enemy side, Colonel Quaritch ordered his forces to use all available firepower to attack the Na'vi's final stronghold. At the same time, the Na'vi, who had set up an ambush, launched their assault on Quaritch's troops, caught off guard. Quaritch couldn't react in time. The archers struck precisely at the pilots' positions. Despite their losses, Quaritch's firepower still outmatched the Na'vi warriors. Quaritch focused his firepower on Jake, who maneuvered Toruk to dodge the barrage of bullets. On the ground, the Na'vi army, despite their numbers, couldn't withstand advanced weaponry with bare hands and was quickly overwhelmed, forced to retreat. A plane closely pursued Neytiri, shooting down her Ikran, causing them to crash. Neytiri watched her tribe die under human gunfire. Tsute leapt onto a bomber to stop it, killing many soldiers but was shot and fell from the ship in the critical moment. Awa answered Jake's prayers. Countless forest animals charged, attacking Quaritch's forces. Even a beast that once hunted Jake volunteered as Neytiri's mount. In the sky, a massive flock of Ikrains gathered, overwhelming Quaritch's firepower, downing numerous planes. Jake targeted Quaritch's bomb-laden aircraft, easily destroying ship after ship. Quaritch donned an exosuit, escaping his plane, aiming to attack Jake's human body. Neytiri arrived in time to stop him, breaking his gun. However, the sturdy exosuit proved tough, and Quaritch used a knife to kill her mount. As Quaritch raised his knife again for Neytiri, Jake appeared. "It's not over till I'm breathing dirt," Quaritch snarled. Jake, battle ready, dodged the deadly blows. Quaritch kept targeting Jake's human body chamber. Jake tried to stop him but couldn't. Toxic gas seeped into his real body, making him lose control of his avatar. Quaritch grabbed Jake's hair, ready to end him, but Neytiri shot 2 poison-tipped arrows into him, back in his human body. Jake couldn't grab his oxygen mask in time and passed out. Neytiri saved him just in time, for the first time. He touched Neytiri's face with his own hands. Except for Jake and a few chosen ones. All humans were forced onto ships and sent back to Earth. The dark era was over. At the film's end, Jake performed a sacred ritual, transferring his soul into his avatar body. Countless soul seeds gathered, and unlike Grace, Jake's transfer succeeded, fully becoming Na'vi. And that wraps up our recap of Avatar Part 1, a film that redefined visual storytelling and introduced us to the breathtaking world of Pandora, with Avatar Part 3 just around the corner. I hope this video helped refresh your memory of where it all began. Be sure to check out my next video, where I'll recap Avatar Part 2 coming right after this one. Thanks for watching our video. We are Screen Sizzle. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to catch our latest uploads. We're grateful for your support on our journey to 1 million subscribers. Let me know which movie you want me to explain the meaning of by commenting below. Until next time, enjoy the movie.